So I just finished season 2 of the One Piece live action, and honestly, I loved it. It definitely wasn't perfect, but overall it was amazing. One of the first things that stood out to me was the tone. I feel like this season really leans into the chaos and adventure of the Grand Line. Everything feels a lot more unpredictable, like I don't know what's coming next. I mean, even though I do know what's coming next, it feels like that same unpredictableness of, if that's a word, of watching the anime. It really captures that essence of One Piece where anything can happen at any moment, and I love that about it. The sets and CGI also deserve a lot of credit because they managed to bring this massive, quirky world to life without it feeling cramped or cheap, which is something that shows these days I feel like really struggle with. CGI has just been blasted again and again in Hollywood and in movies and shows, and it just feels so overdone, and a lot of the time it looks cheap. But they really made it come to life in One Piece. They captured it in such a different way. It felt like back when I was watching CGI for the first time. I'm also really impressed with how much they managed to just cram into 8 episodes, comparing it to the anime, which is just insane. Obviously, some things had to be cut out, and yeah, I still can't believe that they left out the Luffy versus Zoro scene in Whiskey Peak. I get why they left it out and why fans don't like that scene in particular, because it's kind of not in Luffy's character to doubt Zoro like that, but I still found that scene so funny. It was actually such an hilarious scene, but I understand why they left it out. The cast is honestly, though, just one of the strongest parts of this show. The Straw Hats' chemistry feels so much more natural now, and you can tell the actors are way more comfortable in their roles and also with each other. Everyone just fits into their character so well, and you can feel the passion that they have behind their performances. I was actually particularly surprised by how well Lyra portrayed Robin and her cool, calm, collected but also mysterious vibe. She managed to really portray that part of Robin. It was interesting that they didn't make Robin's eyes blue though. I feel like that's a part of her whole striking look. So that was an interesting choice. A special shout out to Usopp as well, because he was portrayed really well in season 2 compared to season 1, where I felt like he was a little bit more annoying. But in this season, he managed to balance those humorous moments that come from Usopp with the more emotional moments really well. There were also some standout supporting characters. Mr. Nine had way more personality in the live action than I expected, and you could tell that a lot of effort went into making him memorable. Mr. 3 was great as well, and honestly, Wapol might be one of the most perfectly adapted characters in terms of his performance and his character design. I loved seeing Bartolomeo introduced so early on. He was probably one of my favorite characters that came out of Dressrosa, so it was cool to see him introduced and also to see him develop that fanboy crush on the Straw Hats and where it all started and began. And then also Smoker, I swear that guy is just perfect for the role. He's got the abs and everything. But the biggest standout for me had to be Hiriluk. He was incredible. It genuinely felt like he stepped straight out of the anime. I also enjoyed the lighter moments throughout the season. Characters like Brook, Crocodile, and even Dory and Broggy brought a lot of that fun energy, and I also think they did such a great job at capturing their personalities and also their laugh. I feel like they were able to laugh and impersonate them very well, which is not an easy feat, especially Brooks. Yeah, and also actually Crocodile. I feel like most of One Piece laughs are pretty hard to impersonate. When it comes to the story and mimicking the arcs of One Piece, I feel like this season really expands the world of One Piece. You can feel the scale getting bigger with new locations, new characters, and also higher stakes. There were definitely some changes to the timeline and the events, and there was quite a lot of times where I remember thinking, wait, did that actually happen in One Piece? Because I don't remember that happening. But for the most part, I feel like these changes did work. Some even added to the story, like when Luffy was singing Bink Sake and dancing for Laboon to try and connect with him. And this felt very emotional, and in a way it was kind of better than just, I don't know, fighting Laboon to knock some sense into him. It was a nice little emotional undertone, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. At first, it was quite difficult not trying to compare what was happening in live action to what happened in the anime, because there were so many moments that were just like one for one, like Zoro getting his sword in the shop. But once I kind of let that go, it was probably like 2 or 3 episodes in, then I found myself a lot more invested in what the live action was trying to do. One standout for me was Zoro taking on the 100 Baroque Works agent. That sequence was insane, and you can really tell how much training went into those fight scenes. Zoro as a character was also handled really well by Makanyu. He had that kind of stoic, cool guy energy, but also just was able to depict his goofy side and how he can be an idiot sometimes, aka that uvula scene. I was not expecting that. Sanji was also another highlight. I liked this grounded version of him. It's not as over the top, but it still works. Although I do think they could have added some more subtle references to the usual Sanji reactions, especially with that Nami scene. Nothing like crazy over the top, because I know that just would have looked cringy, but just something small, a little subtle thing. And yeah, I was definitely surprised that they included some of those more revealing scenes in the live action, but from what I've read, they wanted to stick more closely to the source material, and Emily Rudd was like advocating for some of those Nami costumes to just, satisfy the fans, and I respect that. My favorite episode though has to be episode 7 with Chopper's backstory. That one hit hard. Even knowing what was coming, it still got me so emotional all over again. The fact that they were able to pull that off with a CGI character is just seriously impressive. Chopper was adorable, just like in the anime, although his human form was a little unsettling, but honestly, that's probably more accurate to what he would look like in real life. I do hope in season 3 that he does that little "that doesn't make me happy, you dummy" lines though, because that's, I feel, is a big part of his personality. I also want to quickly talk about Vivi, because I do feel like she was a big addition to this season. She definitely helped ground everything emotionally, especially with all the chaos that was going on around her. I really like how they didn't treat her as a side character in the live action. I mean, she was quite a big aspect of the anime, but it was nice to see that they kind of took that approach of having her as one of the main characters. And I also feel like she integrated very well with the Straw Hats. In the end, she kind of became one, which was, it was really nice to see. Her determination already shines through a lot, and you can see how much she cares about people, which is very much like the anime Vivi. And so I'm really excited to see how her character develops more throughout Alabasta. What I really appreciate about the live action and about this season is that it truly understands One Piece at its core. It balances adventure with friendship and those heavy emotional moments really well without it feeling too rushed, which is a big feat. I also love that it's just not afraid to embrace the weird quirkiness of One Piece, and I think that that's going to be really important as the story progresses, because we all know that once the arcs keep going, the more One Piece-y it gets. Some of the changes to the storyline, it did throw out the timeline a bit, like Sanji talking about his past a bit more, which, only happens all the way in Whole Cake Island. And also Garp talking to Roger, where he reveals that he has a son, which, happens all the way in so many episodes later. But I feel like that is to be expected. They need to make the story progress a lot quicker with what little time they have. At the end of the day, this is exactly what I wanted from the live action. A fun, slightly chaotic adventure with some of those emotional bits mixed into it that are just devastating. And that really parallels with the anime. Honestly, the worst part about it was finishing it. I just wanted to keep watching. I just wanted it to keep going. I'm really excited to see where they take things next, especially with the Alabasta arc coming up. This has so much potential with all the new characters being introduced, like Ace. I'm excited to see Ace and also see more of Crocodile. Those are some of my thoughts on season 2 of the One Piece live action. As always, I would love to hear what you guys thought of the season, some of your favorite moments, and also who your favorite casting was throughout the season. Just a massive shout out to my brother and sister-in-law for getting me this adorable Chopper t-shirt from the Mugiwara store in Tokyo. They also got me a bunch of trinkets, like these badges. We got Robin, my favorite, Ace, and then this character that I haven't met yet. What's his name? Prince Groose? Look how cute this little Sanji is. One of those mystery packs. Oh, so cute. You know that you're obsessed with One Piece when your family who has never watched One Piece in their life starts getting you all of this like One Piece merch. I hope you all have a really great day, night, whatever it is over there, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.